There's a controversial topic of debate on whether or not kids should be tried as adults, which is usually followed by a discussion of whether or not nature versus nurture is a thing, and if kids can be truly evil. Well, judge for yourself. Here are the 8 youngest kids who were sentenced to prison, from murderers and robbers to child serial killers. Let's get started. Number 8. Lionel Tate, 13 years old. The unique case of Lionel Tate is one of America's strangest cases, particularly because even the prosecution asked for leniency considering how young Tate was. At 13 years of age, he was sentenced to life in prison without any possibility of parole. Why? In 2001, Tate's mother, Kathleen, was babysitting their 6-year-old neighbor Tiffany Eunuch. For some time, Tate was left alone with the little girl. After 45 minutes, Tate went to his mother and told her Tiffany wasn't breathing. He would later claim that they were practicing wrestling moves. However, her injuries were far more traumatic and disturbing. He told his mother that he'd had her in a headlock when her head slammed on the table. However, when the prosecution presented the case, they had another version of the truth other than Tate's. They likened her injuries, which included a fractured skull and multiple lacerations, to someone who had fallen 3 stories to the ground. Lionel Tate's life sentence to prison drew a lot of attention and controversy due to his age. However, in 2004, his conviction was eventually overruled because he hadn't been properly mentally evaluated before the trial. Number 7. Kenneth Young, 15 years old. 15-year-old Kenneth Young wasn't just sent to prison for his role in a robbing spree that lasted a month and included 4 armed robberies. He received a shocking 4 consecutive life terms without parole. Ironically, he's the only kid on this list to not commit murder. In June 2000, Young was threatened by his mother's crack dealer, who told him he would kill her unless the teenager helped him rob hotels in the Tampa area. The dealer, 24-year-old Jacques Bethea, was the one with the pistol and the one to plan the robberies. Young reportedly talked him out of assaulting a female victim once. No victim was seriously injured for all 4 heists. When caught, Young, who had never tangled with the law or had a violent history, was tried as an adult under Florida law. A documentary titled 15 to Life, to document Young's case, pointed out that even Bethea, the brains behind the operation, only received 1 concurrent life sentence, a punishment much less harsh than Young's. Number 6. Eric Smith, 13 years old. In 1993, 13-year-old Eric Smith earned a second-degree murder conviction and a maximum term sentence. To this day, the courts believe he's unfit for rehabilitation and can never live in society as a free man. A 4-year-old neighbor was unfortunate enough to be alone at the park when he caught Smith's attention. Smith lured him into the wood, where he proceeded to do unspeakable things to the boy. He murdered him by dropping a rock on his head. Later, he would cite his devastating classmates' bullying and family abuse causing the insane bout of rage that pushed him to kill the boy. The fact that he displayed little to no emotions while speaking to court psychologists further pushed the court to believe he could never be rehabilitated. At the time, he received the maximum term for juvenile murderers, 9 years to life in prison. Numerous times, he's appealed for parole and has been refused over 8 times. Number 5. Joshua Phillips, 14 years old. One day, 14-year-old Joshua Phillips' mother was cleaning his room when a putrid smell got her attention. After investigating, she found that under her son's waterbed was the body of their 8-year-old missing neighbor, Maddie Clifton. As it turns out, Phillips was playing baseball when he accidentally hit Maddie with the ball, causing her to bleed. Raised with an abusive father, Phillips panicked about what his father's reaction would be, so he killed her to hide all evidence of foul play. He strangled Maddie with a phone cord and stabbed her a total of 11 times. He hid the body in the pedestal of his waterbed, only for his mother to find it over a week later. Prior to this, Phillips didn't have a history of violence, but due to the brutality of the murder, despite his young age, he was charged as an adult. Guilty of first-degree murder, he was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Number 4. Evan Miller, 17 years old. "I am God. I've come to take your life," are the chilling words 17-year-old Evan Miller, the youngest child to ever be sentenced to prison without parole in the state of Alabama, said to neighbor Kenneth before he killed him. Even the court described Miller's words as something you would see in a fictional account, and that they had never seen anyone speak such words. So, what happened? Evan Miller and another teenager, Colby Miller, had plans to rob Miller's family neighbor. Cannon lived beside them at Country Living Trailer. They ended up brutally beating him with a bat before setting fire to his trailer. A helpless Cannon died of smoke inhalation. Number 3. Alyssa Bustamante, 15 years old. A history of suicide attempts, self-harm, and depression preceded 15-year-old Alyssa Bustamante, brutally killing her 9-year-old neighbor Elizabeth Olton and gleefully writing about it in her diary. She wrote that she had just killed someone. She strangled them and slit their throat and stabbed them. Now they're dead. She went on to say that she doesn't know how to feel at the moment. However, she later added that it was amazing, writing that, "As soon as you get over the 'oh my god, I can't do this' feeling, it's pretty enjoyable." She described how nervous and shady she was then before finishing her diary entry with, "Okay, I gotta go to church now, lol." After Elizabeth Olton was found in a shallow grave, Alyssa was charged with first-degree murder. Despite being only 15 years old, she was tried as an adult. However, unlike a lot of kids on this list, she received a life sentence with the possibility of parole. At Alyssa's sentencing hearing, her mother later called her an evil monster, saying that she hated her. Number 2. John Venables and Robert Thompson, 10 years old. Officially the youngest children to be convicted in England, in 1993, John Venables and Robert Thompson were only 10 years old when they kidnapped a toddler from a shopping center in Bootle, Merseyside, tortured him, and left him at the mercy of an oncoming train. There were a total of 42 injuries. The two boys' trial received a dramatic amount of media interest, with even the European Court of Human Rights being involved. They ended up receiving a 15-year prison sentence. Number 1. Craig Price, Warwick slasher, 16 years old. The case of Craig Price is a unique, disturbing one, particularly because he's not just one of the youngest kids who were sentenced to prison. It's because he's one of the world's youngest serial killers, having made his first kill at the age of 13. He operated in his Rhode Island neighborhood on the U.S. East Coast. In 1987, aged 13, he broke into 27-year-old Rebecca Spencer's house, which was 2 doors away from his family home, and savagely killed her by stabbing her a staggering 58 times. One of the most disturbing bits is that obviously, no one suspected their teenage neighbor to be the one to commit such unspeakable and malicious violence. It wasn't until 2 years later, when he officially became a serial killer, that he became a suspect. 3 other neighbors were his next victim. High on LSD and marijuana, he stabbed 39-year-old Joan Heaton and her 2 daughters, 10 and 8-year-old Jennifer and Melissa, 30 times each. It's said that the stabs were so vicious and the wounds so deep that the handle of the knives broke off, leaving just the blade stuck. Price's behavior at court was downright chilling. He described the murder's details and mimicked the girl's dying cries without displaying any emotion. He received a jail sentence for 25 years and joined the serial killer hall of disturbing fame as the Warwick Slasher. And that's all for today on the 8 youngest kids who were sentenced to prison. What did you think of these convictions? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button. And before you go, if you want to see more videos like this, subscribe to Weeklypedia and click that notification bell to be alerted whenever we upload a new video. Thanks for watching and see you next time.